Leagues, a temporary game mode incredibly popular in old-school Runescape. Today I want to talk to you about why Runescape 3 actually needs leagues and what benefits it would provide. Leagues is a temporary game mode that usually runs for around 6 weeks. You have various tasks to complete that give you points that you can then use to unlock new tiers of relics. These relics give you buffs to your gameplay and are part of your customized experience, as you cannot get every relic in the game. The point of the game mode is to complete as many tasks as possible your own way depending on the relics you get. On top of that, each league also has a theme to them. This last one, Trailblazer Reloaded, has the theme of unlocking regions. After completing X amount of tasks, you would be given a choice which region to unlock and as which content would have access to. You could only pick a maximum of 3 regions on top of the ones you start with, which is usually Karanja and Mistal and Karanda, what the hell? Leagues also has an XP and a drop rate multiplier to make the experience, less tedious and more casual for players. The relics are also really fun to engage with, and they have some really overpowered buffs, so independent of which one you choose, you should still always have a good time. And the choices that you are forced into making just make the gameplay more unique when compared to your main game experience. With that out of the way, let's actually talk about the appeal of leagues as well as the benefits it can bring to the game. As far as the appeal goes, it's simply a casual game mode that offers a different way to interact with the game. Since you don't need a new account to join leagues, any player can try it out, see if they like it and either stick around or, well, choose not to. Since leagues offers choices in how you do things, especially with the relic choice, the tasks you want to do, as well as in the case of Trailblazer, which regions to unlock, the game mode goes from a simple private server with increased XP rates into a more unique way of interacting with the game, much like how unique Iron Man accounts such as Aerial Lock, Chunkman, Taskman, or the idiots like me which prefer to not use a bank at all. Leagues allow you to experience what it's like to do content this way without needing to invest too much time into the main game. The big appeal of these types of accounts is the theory crafting and puzzle solving that goes into them, that goes into how are you going to be approaching things, and League is perfect in evoking this satisfaction without the necessary 500 hours to unlock Limport routes, for example. Furthermore, anyone can actually participate in leagues. The main issue with Fresh Start Worlds was that it did not really appeal to veterans, since the game mode worked exactly the same way as the main game, with the only difference being the XP rates. With leagues, anyone can play the game and as friends can actually talk about their plans and even play together at points without needing to make an entire new account. And speaking of anyone being able to participate, this actually has its benefits. For lower level players, you can get later points in the game without an exorbitant grind, as well as you are able to experience late game content without the necessary skill, since the relics tend to be really overpowered, including for combat, allowing you to experience all the stuff that in the main game you would need hundreds of hours to train your skills and get the gear required for it. As for higher levels, besides the fact that you get to engage with the game in a unique way, you also can use your points to buy cosmetics that you then can trade at the GE. While a small incentive, there is definitely something for everyone in leagues, regardless of their status in the main game and regardless of their skill or knowledge. On top of that, the short player increase is also good, especially as a marketing tool. RuneScape 3 has an image problem, and I don't think that it's a controversial statement to make. Oftentimes, before players get into the game, they have been bombarded with the opinion that RuneScape 3 sucks. Leagues is the perfect time to highlight what the game has to offer. This could be actually really important because of old-school RuneScape players. Essentially, since membership is shared, it could allow a bigger old-school RuneScape audience to try out RuneScape 3, and even if they don't stick around to play the game, it would help with the negative perception that the game overall has. Sure, many old-school RuneScape players just hate RuneScape 3 and their opinion isn't gonna change. But there are many RuneScape players that simply haven't even tried the OC or anything related to RuneScape 3, that are neutral towards the game, that could very easily help clean the image that RuneScape 3 has by having a more positive opinion of the game, if they just try the leagues and the content RuneScape 3 has. Another big benefit I've seen from old school RuneScape leagues is the content itself. Not only are you encouraged to interact with content you might not interact with in the live game, you also end up trying new content. The reason why this is important is because it allows players to shine a light on content no one really does, which means Jagex also tends to not know that it needs fixing or polishing. On top of that, old school RuneScape introduced stackable clues and rewards to leagues, and players decided it was a thing they liked, so now clue rewards are actually stackable in the main game, and while stackable clues aren't, their idea is an idea that still many people support. Leagues can almost be a beta testing for new ideas Jagex isn't totally sure would fit the main game, while also being able to gather feedback from them and tweak them, as well as tweak old forgotten content. And lastly, it's fun. It gives something new for players to do, especially the ones that took a break or burn out from the game. It's a low commitment thing, you can just come in, enjoy for how long as you want and be done with it. Now, the main downside of leagues is the dev time. However, I don't think that it's a negative. Everything needs dev time, and given how many benefits leagues would actually bring to the game, I think the dev time is 100% justified. Speaking of that, however, I have some advice on what the first leagues should actually be. Copy stuff from old school RuneScape, be it tasks or relics or even the themes. Look, it's your first leagues, you don't need to reinvent the wheel exactly. Just something that it's proven, no high risk, and you know it works. Secondly, I advise in essentially doing what old school RuneScape did the first leagues. The first leagues was entirely in Zea. I think the first leagues lasting around 4 to 6 weeks in a single region like Misthalin or Asgarnia for example, should be something that would honestly be for the best. The less area of the game you have to work with, the less that, can go wrong, and it allows you to just test the waters. And lastly, you don't need to be afraid to be wacky with it, it's a temporary game mode, so even if players dislike one thing or the other, you don't need to worry about it impacting the long term of the game, since the game mode is gonna go away anyway. And that's pretty much it for this video. I have been meaning to actually talk about this for a while, and I decided to, just make a little short video while I work on my next snowbank, which should be coming in like 2 weeks I think. The gameplay you saw here was actually from Leagues 4. Earlier this year I made a chill video about it, so if you want to see how Leagues sort of works, you can actually go watch it, or you can just go watch literally anyone else, since Leagues is actually incredibly popular when it comes to content creation, which I already talked about how it's good for the game, so yeah, anyway, see you in the next video.